Hi, I'm Gary Kell, the Fly Fishing Coach. Welcome to episode 5 of the Secrets of Fly Fishing Success. Today, we're going to learn about that invisible connection between the fly line and your fly, the leader and the tippet. So put on your magnifiers and catch a glimpse of how all this comes together. One of the key secrets to fly fishing success is that final connection between your fly line and the fly, the monofilament tapered leader. That tapered leader continues the taper of the fly line so that it dissipates the energy and your fly line lands with grace on the water. The leader has 3 parts: the butt section, the taper, and the tippet. The thick butt section, which is tied to your fly line, and in the middle section is the taper. The last section is a piece of level line called the tippet, to which you tie the fly or additional tippet. There are 3 types of leaders: knotless, knotted, and braided or furled leaders. Knotless leaders, their taper is made by the manufacturing process and is the most popular leader. They are a good choice for the beginning angler. The knotted leaders are made by tying together level pieces of tippet in varying diameters. There are many specific recipes for the diameters and lengths for each leader. Furled or braided leaders are made from woven monofilament or thread type materials. Not too much different than the horsehair leaders that they designed at the end of the last century. To those leaders, you must add your own tippet before you start to fish. All leaders vary in 3 characteristics: their length, the size and diameter of their tippet, and in their breaking strength. Taper leaders come in a variety of lengths, from 3 feet to over 14 feet. The longer leaders are a bit harder to cast, but usually land the fly delicately. Shorter leaders are a bit easier to cast, but may land the fly a bit more harshly. For trout fishing, the most common leader is 7.5 to 9 foot long and would be a good choice for the average trout fisherman. New leaders come with a loop in the end of the butt section. Some new fly lines also come with a loop. In that case, all you have to do is connect the loops to get started fishing. Otherwise, you will have to use the traditional nail knot in order to connect the fly line and the leader. Tippet sizes vary from 0x, the thickest, to 8x, the thinnest. The thicker tippets carry a lot of energy out to the end and therefore are used for casting larger, bulkier flies. The thinner tippets carry less energy out to the end and so therefore are used for smaller flies to cast them very delicately. Those thin tippets are also less visible to the fish. The breaking strength of a leader is reflected in the weakest part, which is the tippet. It's often expressed in pounds. That varies by the manufacturing process, even in the same diameter of tippet. The old 6X was only 1 or 2 pounds of breaking strength. The new 6X with newer materials offers 3 or more pounds of breaking strength. Breaking strength is most important when you're pursuing large fish. Choosing the size and the breaking strength of your tippet is usually a compromise between the size of the fly that you plan to cast and the size of the fish you plan to encounter. For trout, we recommend a 7.5 to 9 foot leader down to a 3 or 4x tippet. The tippet is really the most vulnerable and adaptable part of your leader. You need to learn to manage the tippet, and it will function well for you and last for many outings. We will cover tippet material later in this episode. So how can you tell what leader you have in the package? There are 3 bits of information that are displayed on the package. the leader length, the X size of the tippet, and the pound test or breaking strength. For example, this is a 9-foot 4X leader that has a breaking strength of 6.4 pounds. If you need to know if the leader has a loop tied into the end of it, you'll have to study the contents closely. Fly leaders cost between $3 and $6, and there's a couple of secrets to allow your leader to last all season. Keep it clear of unintentional knots. Half the strength of the leader can be lost through these knots. The second thing is to remember to stretch your line before each outing, as often memory coils form from being on your reel. Tippet material is produced in the same X sizes as your leader's tippet. 0 to 8X is packaged on spools by diameter. The leader tippet is your most vulnerable and adaptable part of your leader. You can replenish line tippet that is used up, or you can change the diameter or the length to cast larger or smaller flies more efficiently. You'll carry these spools with you on the stream, so you'll be ready to change your tippet. Let's talk about tippet management. The tippet shortens as you change flies, as you break off in a tree, or maybe break off on a big fish. You need to consider replenishing your leader. One secret is that once you've used up 50% of your tippet, you may want to consider replenishing it. Avoid cutting into the taper of your leader, as it will no longer cast efficiently. One of the secrets to fly fishing success is finding the right size tippet for the size of fly that you're going to cast. Larger flies cast better on thicker and shorter tippets. Smaller flies cast better on thinner and longer tippets. To help you, we use the rule of 3. Divide the hook size by 3 and the answer is the recommended tippet size. For example, a size 12 fly would require a 4X tippet. A size 16 would be rounded to a 5X tippet. When changing to a smaller tippet size, remember not to skip more than 1X size. If you do, you need to use a 12-inch transition piece before adding the final tippet size. For example, in going from a 3X to a 6X, add a 12-inch piece of 4X before your final tippet is added. This will keep the taper in your leader and allow it to straighten nicely. Tippet spools cost between $3 and $5. The beginner should carry 3X, 4X, and 5X spools of tippet. A good all-around leader for small to medium trout streams would be a 7.5-foot 3X with 18 inches of 4X tippet to fish size 12 and 14 flies. This leader setup with the 3 spools will enable you to fish flies from as large as 8 down to as small as 16. Now that you know all about leaders and tippets, join me in episode 6, where we'll explore the essential knots that you'll need to know to tie it all together. Until then, go fish.